ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। आगमार्दन्तु देवानां गमनार्दन्तु राक्षसं गुरुं गण्डारवं करों तत्र देवदाक्वाणलाञ्जनं सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं ववामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदशादनम्। ओम श्री महावल्लभ गणपतये नमः। सप्रदसभां मे गोपाय एजसभ्या सभासदः तानिन्द्रियावदः कुरु सर्वमायुरुपाशदाम् अगे पुत्नियमन्त्रं मे गोपाय यमृषयस्त्रैविता विदुः ऋजस्सामानि यजोगुंषि साहि श्रीरवृता सतां ध्रुवन्ते राजा वरुणो ध्रुवन्ते वो ध्रुवन्त इन्द्रश्चाग्निश्च राष्ट्रं धारयतां ध्रुवम् आचम्य पवित्रम् आधाय प्राणानायम्य शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये यस्यद्विरदवक्त्रार्त्या पारिशक्त्या परश्शतं विघ्नं निघ्नन्ति सततं विश्वक्षेणं तमाश्रये। ॐ तदेव लग्नं सुदिनं तदेव ताराफलं चन्द्रफलं तदेव विद्याफलं देवफलं तदेव लक्ष्मीपतेः अङ्घ्रियुगं स्मरामि। अद्य करिष्यमाणस्य कर्मणः निर्विघ्नेन वर्षमाप्त्यर्थम् आदौ महावल्लभगणपतिपूजां करिष्ये श्री विश्वक्षेण पूजां करिष्ये। अक्षदानुत्तरतो निरस्य अपवुपस्पृश्य कलशस्य मुखे विष्णुः गण्डे रुद्रशमाश्रिताः मूले तत्र स्थितो ब्रह्मा मध्ये मातृगणाः स्मृताः गङ्गे जमुने चैव गोदावरी सरस्वती नर्मदे सिन्धु कावेरी जलेऽस्मिन् सन्निधिं कुरु। ओम सप्तनदिभ्यो नमः। तज्जलेन पूजाद्रव्याणि च सम्प्र आत्मानं च प्रोक्ष्य श्री महावल्लभगणपते नमः सहित श्री विश्वक्षेणाय नमः प्रार्थनां करिष्ये। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं ववामहे कविं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदशादनम्। ओम श्री महावल्लभगणपतये नमः। एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्ती प्रचोदयात्। तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वेत्रहस्ताय धीमहि तन्नः शान्तः प्रचोदयात्। अस्मिन् बिम्बे कूर्चे गणपतिं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि। ओं भूर्भुवस्सुवः महागणपतिं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि। आसनं समर्पयामि अर्घ्यं समर्पयामि पाद्यं समर्पयामि आचमनं समर्पयामि स्नानं समर्पयामि वस्त्रार्थमक्षतान् समर्पयामि उपवीतार्थमक्षतान् समर्पयामि। शबरिवारसहित विश्वक्षेण महावल्लभगणपतये नमः। गन्धां धारयामि गन्धशोभरि हरिद्रा कुङ्कुमं समर्पयामि पुष्पैः पूजयामि। ओ महावल्लभगणपतये नमः। महावल्लभगणपत्यासनाय नमः। महावल्लभगणपतिमूर्तये नमः। ओ महावल्लभगणपतये नमः। ओं विश्वक्षेणाय नमः। ओं श्रीमते नमः। ओं सूत्रपदीनाथ नमः। ओं वेत्रभाणये नमः। ओं प्रभाकराय समप्रभाय नमः। ओं विश्वरक्षपराय नमः। ओं ऋषिकेशाय नमः। ओं हरिवक्त्राय नमः। ओं सूत्रपदी समेत विश्वक्षेणाय नमः। धूपमाग्रापयामि। दूरशदूर्वदूर्वन्दं दूर्वधं योऽस्मान् दूर्वदिदं धूर्वजं वजं धूर्वामः। उद्दीप्यस्वजातवेदो भग्नं नरहृदिं मम पशुगिस्तमख्यमावह जीवनं च दिशो दिशा दीपं दर्शयामि। सूत्रपदी समेत विश्वक्षेणाय नमः। निवेद्यं विशेषफलं निवेदयामि। निवेद्यानन्तराचमनं समर्पयामि। शुरभिमुद्रां समर्प्य सेव्यफलं निवेदयामि। एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्ती प्रचोदयात्। तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वेत्रहस्ताय धीमहि तन्नः शान्तः प्रचोदयात्। आचार्याः पुनः प्राणानायम्य ओम हरिः ओम तत्सत्। श्री गोविंद 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 अद्य श्री भगवतः इंद्रगंडे रमणगवर्षे ग्रौञ्चदीपे समस्त हरिहर ब्राह्मण गुरुसन्निधो सगाब्दे अस्मिन् वर्धमानकाले व्यावहारिके प्रभवादि संवत्सराणामध्ये शोभकृतनाम संवत्सरे उत्तरायणे शिशिर ऋतो मीनमासे शुक्लपक्ष पौर्णम्यां सुपतितो वासरः वासरस्तु भानुवारसंयुक्ताय नक्षत्राः उत्तरपल्गुनी नक्षत्रसंयुक्तायां शुभनक्षत्रशुभयोग शुभकरण एवं गुणविशेषेण विशिष्टायाम् अस्यां वर्धमानायाम् अस्यां शुभतितो शुभयोग विशेषेण विशिष्ट अस्यां शुभतितो श्रीभगवत्ताज्ञया भगवत्कैङ्कर्यरूपं भगवद्भागवताचार्याणां दिव्यसन्निधौ विराजमानस्य देवोत्तमस्य देवदास सार्वभौमस्य अखिलाण्डकोटिब्रह्माण्डनायकस्य परात्परवासुदेवस्य आश्रितजनपरिपालकस्य अपार कारुण्य सौशल्य वात्सल्य ऐश्वर्य सौन्दर्य महोदतेः जगत्कुटुम्बिनः जगत्रक्षणार्थ अवतीर्णस्य श्रीरमादेव्या समेत वीरवेंकट सत्यनारायण स्वामी प्रीत्यर्थं शुक्लपक्ष विशेष पौर्णमास्यां सुविशेषतः श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामी व्रतपूजाङ्गकर्मणे सर्वेषां भक्तमहाजनानाम् अस्मिन् महावल्लभगणपति दिव्यसन्निधौ आगतानाम् अनागतानां सर्वेषां भक्तमहाजनानां क्षेम स्थैर्य वीर्य विजय आयुरारोग्य ऐश्वर्याणाभिवृद्ध्यर्थ अनेक भक्तमहागृहे अट्टलक्ष्मी नित्यनिवाससिद्ध्यर्थं धर्मार्थ काममोक्ष चतुर्विध फलपुरुषार्थसिद्ध्यर्थं जाग्रत स्वप्न सुषुप्ति अवस्थात्रय मनोवाक्काय समजनि तत्तोष पीठा परिहारार्थम् आध्यात्मिक आदिदैविक आदिभौतिक तापत्रयादि समस्त दोष निवारणार्थं लोकक्षेमार्थं लोककल्याणार्थं लोके नगरे स्थले विद्वन् महाजनानां पशु पक्षि जावर जंगमस्थानाम् अनेन जीवराशीनाम् अनेन भक्तमहाजनानां क्षेमारोग्यदासिद्धर्थम् उपयकर्तॄणां क्षेमारोग्यदासिद्धर्थं श्रीरमादेव्या समेत वीरवेंकट सत्यनारायण स्वामी प्रसाद सिद्ध्यर्थं सर्वेषां भक्तमहाजनानां सकलविध सन्मांगल्य प्राप्त्यर्थ अप्राप्तलक्ष्मी प्राप्त्यर्थं प्राप्तलक्ष्मी स्थिरकाल संरक्षणार्थं धनगणक वस्तुवाहनादि अभिवृद्ध्यर्थ आयुरारोग्य शुद्ध्यर्थं विशेषतः श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामी अनुग्रह शुद्ध्यर्थ आचार्य मुखेन श्री सत्यनारायण व्रतपूजा कर्म करिष्ये अभवुपस्पृश्य आवाहनादि सूत्रपदी समेत विश्वक्षेण महावल्लभगणपते नमः समस्तोपचारान् समर्पयामि वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय शूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा विश्वक्षेण महागणपते नमः प्रार्थनां समर्पयामि विश्वक्षेण महागणपति यथास्थानं प्रतिष्ठापयामि शोभनार्थे क्षेमाय पुनरा आगमनाय च विश्वक्षेण महागणपते नमः प्रसादसिद्धिरस्तु पूर्वोक्तसङ्कल्पप्रकारेण श्री आदित्यादि नवग्रह देवताः परिपूर्ण अनुग्रह प्रसादसिद्ध्यर्थं श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामी व्रतपूजाङ्गकर्मणि आदित्यादि नवग्रह दोष निवारण सिद्धि पूर्व अनेक भक्तमहाजनानां जातकवशात् आदिव्यादि नवानां ग्रहाण नवग्रह दोष निवारण सिद्ध्यर्थं नवग्रह आराधनां करिष्ये अस्मिन् नवग्रह मण्डले मध्ये आदित्यग्रहं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि जपाकुटुम्बसङ्गाढं काश्यपेयं महद्युतिं तमोरिं सर्वभावक्तं रणतोष्मि दिवाकरम् अश्वत्थजाय विद्महे पद्महस्ताय धीमहि तन्नः सूर्यः प्रचोदयात् रक्तवस्त्रं रक्तवर्णं रक्तगन्धं रक्तपुष्पं रक्तगन्धानुलेपितं मेरोः प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं शाङ्गाय सायुधाय शबरिवाराय श्री आदित्यग्रहं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि सर्वोपचारे समर्घ्यं दत्त्वा सूर्यस्य आग्नेय दिग्भागे चन्द्राय नमः दधिशङ्कतुषाराभं क्षीरोदार्णवसम्भवं नमामि सजिनं सोमं सम्भोर्मकुटभूषणं निशाकराय विद्महे कलानाथाय धीमहि तन्नश्चन्द्रप्रचोदयात् श्वेतवर्णं श्वेतवस्त्रं श्वेतगन्धं श्वेतपुष्पं श्वेतगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरू प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं शाङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तये शबरिवाराय चन्द्रग्रहं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा सूर्यस्य दक्षिणदिग्भागे अंगारहं ध्यायामि अंगारकासनाय नमः धरणीगर्भसम्भूतं विद्युत्कान्तिसन्निभं कुमारं शक्तिहस्तं च मङ्गलं प्रणमाम्यहम् अंगारकाय विद्महे भूमिपालाय धीमहि तन्नो भौमप्रचोदयात् रक्तवस्त्रं रक्तवर्णं रक्तगन्धं रक्तपुष्पं रक्तगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरु प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं साङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तये शबरिवाराय सर्व अलङ्कारविदाय शङ्गारकं ध्यायामि अंगारकमावाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा सूर्यस्य ईशान्यदिग्भागे बुधाय नमः ओं प्रियङ्गुलिकाश्यामं रूपेण प्रतिमं बुधं सौम्यं सौम्यगुणोपेदं तं बुधं प्रणमाम्यहं बुधग्रहाय विद्महे इन्दुपुत्राय धीमहि तन्नः सौम्य प्रचोदयात् श्यामवर्णं श्यामरूपं श्यामवस्त्रं श्यामगन्धं श्यामपुष्पं श्यामगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरु प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं शाङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तेश परिवाराय बुधं ध्यायामि बुधमावाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा सूर्यस्य उत्तरदिग्भागे गुरुदेवताभ्यो नमः देवानां च ऋषीणां च गुरुं काञ्चनसन्निभं बुद्धिभूतं त्रिलोकेशं तन्नमामि बृहस्पतिं सुराचार्याय विद्महे सुरश्रेष्ठाय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयात्। ओं गणकवस्त्रं गणकवर्णं गणकवस्त्रं गणकगन्धं गणकपुष्पं गणकगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरु प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं साङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तेश परिवाराय गुरुं ध्यायामि गुरुमावाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा सूर्यस्य पूर्वदिग्भागे शुक्राय नमः हिमकुन्दमृणालाभं दैध्यानां परमं गुरुं सर्वशास्त्रप्रवक्तारं भार्गवं प्रणमाम्यहो रजदाभाय विद्महे बृहसुताय धीमहि तन्नः शुक्रप्रचोदयात्। श्वेतवर्णं श्वेतवस्त्रं श्वेतगन्धं श्वेतपुष्पं श्वेतगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरु प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं साङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तेश परिवाराय सर्वालङ्कारशोभिताय श्री शुक्रं ध्यायामि शुक्रमावाहयामि शुक्राय नमः। सूर्यस्य पश्चिमदिग्भागे शनैश्चराय नमः नीलाञ्जनसमाभाडं रविपुत्रं यमाग्रजं छायामार्ताण्डसम्भूतं तं नमामि शनैश्चरं शनैश्चराय नमः काकध्वजाय विद्महे खड्गहस्ताय धीमहि तन्नो मन्दप्रचोदयात्। कृष्णवर्णं कृष्णवस्त्रं कृष्णगन्धं कृष्णपुष्पं कृष्णगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरु प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं शाङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तयेश परिवाराय शनैश्चरं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा सूर्यस्य नैऋति दिग्भागे राघवे नमः अर्धगायं महावीर्यं चन्द्रादित्यविवर्धनो सिंहिका गर्भसम्भूतो तं राहुं प्रणमाम्यहो सूगदन्ताय विद्महे उग्ररूपाय धीमहि तन्नो राहुः प्रचोदयात्। धूम्रवर्णं धूम्रवस्त्रं धूम्रगन्धं धूम्रपुष्पं धूम्रगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरु प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं शाङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तेश परिवाराय सर्वालङ्कार शोभिताय श्रीराघवे नमः आवाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा सूर्यस्य वायोर्दिग्भागे केतवे नमः पलासपुष्पसङ्गाढं तारकाग्रहमस्तको रौद्रं रौद्रात्मकं घोरं तं केतुं प्रणमाम्यहो ओं चित्रवर्णाय विद्महे सर्परूपाय धीमहि तन्नः केतुः प्रचोदयात्। चित्रवर्णं चित्रवस्त्रं चित्रगन्धो चित्रपुष्पं चित्रगन्धानुलेपितं दिव्यमेरु प्रदक्षिणे कुर्वाणं शाङ्गाय सायुधाय सशक्तयेश परिवाराय केतुं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा आदित्यादि नवग्रहासनानवग्रहमूर्तये नमः आवाहनादि सर्वोपचारैः सम्पूज्य अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा ओं गणपतिं ध्यायामि गणपतिम् आवाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा दुर्गादेवीं ध्यायामि दुर्गादेवीम् आवाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा वास्तुपुरुषं ध्यायामि वास्तुपुरुषमावाहयामि अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा अभयङ्करं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि पूजयामि क्षेत्रबालकं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि पूजयामि अवं गन्धद्वारां दुरादृढा नित्यपुट्टाङ्गिरीषिणीं ईश्वरेकं सर्वभूतानां दामिहो भक्तये श्रियम् ओं श्रीं आवाहयामि लक्ष्मीनारायणम् आवाहयामि वाणी हिरण्यगर्भाभ्याम् आवाहयामि पूजयामि उमामहेश्वराभ्याम् आवाहयामि पूजयामि इन्द्राय नमः अग्नये नमः यमाय नमः निरुदये नमः वरुणाय नमः वायवे नमः कुबेराय नमः ईशानाय नमः अष्टदिक्बालकासनाय नमः आवाहयामि पूजयामि पञ्चलोकबालकाय नमः आवाहयामि पूजयामि सकल आवाहनदेवताभ्यो नमः धूपम् आघ्रापयामि। ओं धूर्वधूर्वधूर्वन्दं धूर्वधं योऽस्मान् धूर्वदिदं धूर्वजं वजं धूर्वामः धूपमाग्रापयामि उद्दीप्यस्तजातवेदो भग्नं निरृतिं मम पशुभ्यस्तमख्यमावह जीवनं जदिशो दिशा दीपं दर्शयामि धूपदीपानन्तरम् आचमनं समर्पयामि भूर्भुवस्वः विशेष सूतफलं कदलीफलम् अमृतफलं निवेदयामि निवेद्यानन्तरम् आचमनं समर्पयामि सर्वस्याब्धे सर्वस्य जुब्धे सर्वमेव धेनाप्नोति सर्वं जयति। आवाहन देवताभ्यो नमः। प्रत्यक्षदीपं दर्शयामि। आदित्याय च सोमाय मङ्गलाय बुधाय च गुरुशुक्रशनेभ्यश्च राहवे केतवे नमः। आदित्यादि नवग्रहदेवताभ्यो नमः। नमः सूर्याय चन्द्राय मङ्गलाय बुधाय च गुरुशुक्र शनिभ्यश्च राहवे केतवे नमः। आदित्यादि नवग्रह देवताभ्यो नमः। प्रार्थना समर्पयामि। ओम आचार्याः कलशपूजां कृत्वा विष्णोरराडमसि विष्णोः पृष्ठमसि विष्णोस्यप्त्रेस्तो विष्णोस्यूरसि विष्णोः ध्रुवमसि वैष्णवमसि विष्णवे त्वा गन्धद्वारां दुरादर्श नित्यपुट्टाङ्गरीषिणीम् ईश्वरीगं सर्वभूतानां तामिहोपक्वये श्रियम् आभो वा इदकं सर्वं विश्वाभूतान्याप प्राणाव आपपशव आपो नमापो प्रथमावश्यम्राडावो विराडावश्वराडावस्तन्दागिष्याभो ज्योतिगिष्याभो यजोगिष्याभः सद्यमाभ सर्वा देवता आपो भूर्भुवस्सुवरा भवो देवस्य त्वा सविदः प्रसुवे अश्विनोर्बाहुभ्यां पूष्णो हस्ताभ्याम् ॐ आं ह्रीं क्रों क्रों ह्रीं आं अं यं रं लं वं शं सं शं हं लं क्षं ह हंसः आवाहितो भव स्थापितो भव सन्निधो भव सन्निरुद्धो भव अवगुण्डितो भव सुप्रीतो भव सुप्रसन्नो भव स्वामिन् प्रसीद प्रसीद स्वामिन् सर्वजगन्नाथ यावत् पूजावसानकं तावत् त्वं प्रीतिभावेन कुम्भेऽस्मिन् सन्निधिं गुरु श्रीरमादेव्या समेत सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः। प्राणप्रतिष्ठा मुहूर्तो शुभमुहूर्तोस्तु। द्वारपूजा पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाकारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गो लक्ष्मीकान्तं गगनरे वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयकरं सर्वलोकैकनाथो मेघश्यामं पीतघोषेयवासो श्रीवत्साङ्गं कौस्तुभोत्पाशिताङ्गो पुण्योपेतं पुण्डरीकायदाक्षं विष्णुं वन्दे सर्वलोकैकनाथो सबीदवस्त्रं सरसीरुगेक्षणं शगारभक्तस्थलशोभिकौस्तुभं नमामि चतुर्भुजो विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात्। श्रीरमादेव्या समेत सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः। सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः। आवाहनादि नमस्कार मुद्रां शुरभिमुद्रां प्रदर्श्य शङ्खमुद्रां चक्रमुद्रां प्रदर्श्य अर्घ्यं दत्त्वा शुभमुहूर्तोस्तु। ह्रीं शक्तिः ह्रूं कीलकं ह्रीं दर्जनेभ्यः नमः। ह्रूं मध्यमाभ्यः नमः। क्लीं गणेट्टिकाभ्यः नमः। ह्रीं शिरसे स्वाहा। ह्रूं सिगायै वषट् औ नेत्रत्रयाय औषध सहस्राय पट भूर्भुवस्सु वरोमिति दिग्बन्धः। पंचबाणान् विभ्राणान् सुखपारिन् त्रिनयन विलसत्वेन वक्षोरहाढ्या देवी बालार्कवर्णा भवति सुखकरी प्राणशक्ति पराना अस्मिन् कलशे अस्मिन् बिम्बे अस्मिन् चित्रे आवाहितो भव स्थापितो भव सन्निधो भव सन्निरुद्धो भव अवगुण्डितो भव स्वामिन् प्रसीद प्रसीद तावत् त्वं प्रीतिभावेन कुम्भेऽस्मिन् सन्निधिं कुरु। पूर्वद्वारे ओम जयायै नमः ओम विजयायै नमः दक्षिणद्वारे नन्दायै नमः ओं सुनन्दायै नमः पश्चिमद्वारे बलायै नमः प्रभायै नमः उत्तरद्वारे कुमुदायै नमः कुमुदाक्षै नमः ओं द्वारपालकदेवताभ्यो नमः नीलवर्णं पीतवस्त्रं ध्यायेत् श्रीवत्सभूषितं गोविन्दं गोकुलानन्दं ब्रह्माद्यै कविपूजितं श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः ध्यायामि आवाहयामि आवाहये गुणातीतं सत्यनारायण प्रभुं लोकनाथं त्रिलोकेशं कौस्तुभा अभरणं हरिं श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः आवाहयामि क्षीराब्दोषेढदेने शायिने परमात्मने धर्मादिचरणं वेदैः धृतं रत्नासनं परं श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः आसनं समर्पयामि व्यक्ताव्यक्तस्वरूपाय कृषीकपदये नमः मया निवेदितो भक्त्या अर्घ्येयं प्रतिगृह्यतां श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने अर्घ्यं समर्पयामि नारायण नमस्तेस्तु नरकार्णपतारक पाद्यं गृहाण देवेश मम सौख्यं विवर्धये श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामी पाद्यं समर्पयामि मन्दाकिन्यास्तु यद्भारि सर्वपापहरं शुभं धनितं कल्पितं देवं सम्यदां द्वया श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः आचमनं समर्पयामि स्नानं पञ्चामृतं तदेव गृहाण पुरुषोत्तमम् अनाथनाथ सर्वज्ञ गीर्वाण प्रणतिप्रिया श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः आभयामि वेदसूक्तं समायुक्तं यज्ञसाम समन्विते सर्ववर्ण प्रदे देव वासवीं प्रतिगृह्यतां श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने वस्त्रयुग्मं समर्पयामि ब्रह्मविष्णुं महेश्वरस्य निर्मितं ब्रह्मसूत्रकं देनयज्ञोपवीतेन प्रीयतां कमलापतिः श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः यज्ञोपवीतं समर्पयामि श्रीगण्डं चन्दनं दिव्यं गन्धाढ्यं सुमनोहरं विलेपनं सुरश्रेष्ठो चन्दनं प्रतिगृह्यतां श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः गन्धां धारयामि गन्धशोभरे हरिद्राकुङ्कुमं समर्पयामि मल्लिका जातिसुगन्धि बालद्यानि वै प्रभो मया कृतानि पूजार्थं पुष्पाणि प्रतिगृह्यतां श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः पुष्पं समर्पयामि अंगपूजां करिष्ये ओं सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः पादौ पूजयामि ओं शेषशायिने नमः कुल्पौ पूजयामि ओं कालस्वरूपिणे नमः जङ्गे पूजयामि ओं विश्वरूपायै नमः जानुनी पूजयामि ओं जगन्नाथाय नमः मुख्यं पूजयामि ओं कमलनाथाय नमः नाभिं पूजयामि ओं जगत्कुक्षये नमः कुक्षिं पूजयामि ओं लक्ष्मीविलसत्तक्षसे नमः वक्षस्थलं पूजयामि ओं चक्रादिहस्ताय नमः हस्तान् पूजयामि ओं चतुर्भागवे नमः बाहून् पूजयामि ओं श्रीकण्ठाय नमः कण्ठं पूजयामि ओं चन्द्रमुखाय नमः मुखं पूजयामि ओं सत्यवाचसे नमः वक्त्रं पूजयामि ओं श्रीचाय नमः नासिकां पूजयामि ओं रवीन्तुलोचनाय नमः नेत्रं पूजयामि ओं दिक्स्त्रोत्राय नमः स्तोत्रे पूजयामि ओं सर्वव्यापिने नमः शिरः पूजयामि ओं श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः सर्वाङ्गं पूजयामि अष्टोत्तर शतनामपूजां करिष्ये ओं सत्यदेवाय नमः ओं पूर्वोक्त संकल्प प्रकारेण लोकक्षेमार्थं सत्यनारायण स्वामी अष्टोत्तर शतनामार्चन पूजा करिष्ये ओं सत्यदेवाय नमः ओं सत्यात्मने नमः ओं सत्यभूताय नमः ओं सत्यपुरुषाय नमः सत्यनाथाय नमः ओं सत्यसाक्षिणे नमः ओं सत्ययोगाय नमः ओं सत्यज्ञानाय नमः सत्यज्ञानप्रियाय नमः ओं सत्यनिधये नमः ओं सत्यसङ्कल्पाय नमः ओं सत्यप्रभवे नमः ओं सत्येश्वराय नमः ओं सत्यकर्मणे नमः ओं सत्यपवित्राय नमः ओं सत्यमङ्गलायै नमः सत्यगर्भाय नमः सत्यप्रजापते नमः ओं सत्यविक्रमाय नमः ओं सत्यसिद्धाय नमः ओं सत्याच्युताय नमः ओं सत्यवीराय नमः सत्यभूताय नमः ओं सत्यधर्माय नमः ओं सत्यग्रामाय नमः ओं सत्यसन्तुष्टाय नमः सत्यपरागाय नमः ओं सत्यपराजनाय नमः सत्यपूर्णाय नमः ओं सत्यौषधाय नमः ओं सत्यशाश्वताय नमः ओं सत्यप्रवर्तनाय नमः ओम सत्यवभवे नमः सत्यजेष्ठाय नमः ओम सत्यश्रेष्ठाय नमः सत्यविक्रमिणे नमः ओम सत्यधन्विने नमः सत्यमेधाय नमः सत्यधीशाय नमः ओम सत्यकृतवे नमः सत्यकालाय नमः सत्यवत्सलाय नमः ओम सत्यवशवे नमः ओम सत्यमेघाय नमः ओम सत्यरुद्राय नमः ओम सत्यब्रह्मणे नमः सत्यामृताय नमः सत्यवेदांगाय नमः ओम सत्यदुरात्मने नमः ओम सत्य भोक्त्रे नमः ओम सत्यरुजये नमः सत्यार्चिताय नमः ओम सत्यहर्द्राय नमः ओम सत्यशङ्काय नमः ओम सत्यस्वर्गाय नमः ओम सत्यनियमाय नमः ओम सत्यमेधाय नमः ओम सत्यवेद्याय नमः ओम सत्यपीयूषाय नमः ओम सत्यमायाय नमः ओम सत्यमोहाय नमः ओम सत्यसुरानन्दाय नमः ओम सत्यसागराय नमः ओम सत्यतपसे नमः सत्यसंहाय नमः ओम सत्यमृगाय नमः ओम सत्यलोक पालकाय नमः सत्यस्थिताय नमः ओम सत्यदिक्पालकाय नमः ओम सत्यधनुर्धराय नमः ओम सत्याम्बुजाय नमः ओम सत्यवाक्याय नमः सत्यगुरवे नमः सत्यन्यायाय नमः सत्यसाक्षिणे नमः ओम सत्यसम्प्रदाय नमः सत्यसम्प्रदाय नमः सत्यवन्नये नमः सत्यवायुवे नमः सत्यशिखराय नमः ओम सत्य आनन्दाय नमः सत्याधिपाय नमः सत्यश्रीपादाय नमः सत्यगुप्त्याय नमः सत्योदराय नमः सत्यकृताय नमः सत्यकमलाय नमः सत्याम्बराय नमः सत्यहस्ताय नमः ओम सत्यभागवे नमः सत्यमुखाय नमः ओम सत्यजक्वाय नमः ओम सत्यदंष्ट्राय नमः सत्यनाशिकाय नमः सत्यस्तोत्राय नमः ओम सत्यचक्षुषे नमः ओम सत्यशिरसे नमः सत्यमकुटाय नमः सत्यास्त्राय नमः ओम सत्याभरणाय नमः सत्यायुधाय नमः ओम सत्यश्रीवल्लभाय नमः ओम सत्यगुप्ताय नमः सत्यपुष्कराय नमः सत्यद्रुमाय नमः ओम सत्य वामावताराय नमः ओम सत्यग्रहरूपिणे नमः सत्यप्रहरणायुधाय नमः सत्यनारायणस्वामिने नमः सत्यनारायणस्वामिने नमः नानाविधपरिमलपत्रपुष्पार्चनं समर्पयामि अथ धूपः ओम धूरधिदूर्वधूर्वन्दं दूर्वदं योऽस्मान् दूर्वदिदं दूर्वयं वयं दूर्वामः सत्यनारायणस्वामिने नमः धूपमाग्रापयामि उद्दीप्यस्तजातवेदो भग्नं निरृधिं मम पशुगिस्तमक्यमावह जीवनं च दिशो दिश दीपं दर्शयामि भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् देवसवितप्रसुवः सत्यं दत्तेन परिषिञ्जामि सत्यनारायणस्वामिने नमः प्राणाय स्वाहा पानाय स्वाहा व्यानाय स्वाहा उदानाय स्वाहा समानाय स्वाहा ब्रह्मणे स्वाहा विशेष कुलभिट्टं निवेदयामि नालिकेरखण्डम् अमृतफलं निवेदयामि चूदफलं निवेदयामि कदलीफलद्वयं निवेदयामि पूकीफलशमायुक्तं नागवल्लीदलैरुदं कर्पूर चूर्ण संयुक्तं ताम्बूलं प्रतिगिरिकणेन फलसमूहानि च निवेदयामि विशेषवर्गं फलवर्गं निवेदयामि आचमनं समर्पयामि ॐ इदं विष्णुर्विचक्रमे त्रेधानि ददे पदो समूढमस्य भागो सुरे नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः दिव्यमंगल ज्योतिः जय बोलो श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामी की जय यो वां पुष्पं वेद पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् विषमान् भवति चन्द्रमा वा भां पुष्पो पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् विषमान् भवति यजेवं वेद यो वामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति राजाधिराजाय प्रसज्ञसाजिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समे कामान् कामकामाय मख्यो कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः ॐ तद्ब्रह्म ॐ तद्वायुः ॐ तदात्मा ॐ तत्सत्यम् ॐ तत्सर्वो ॐ तत्पुरोर्नमः अन्धस्तरति भूतेषु गुहाय विश्वमूर्तिषु त्वं यज्ञस्त्वं वषट्कारस्त्वं इन्द्रस्त्वं रुद्रस्त्वं विष्णुत्वं ब्रह्मत्वं प्रजापतिः त्वं ददा भोज्योतिरसोमृतं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवस्सुवरो नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् महादेव्यै च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् सत्यनारायणस्वामिने नमः इयं वेदोक्त मन्त्रपुष्पाञ्जलिं समर्पयामि यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मान्तरकृतानि च तानि तानि विनश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे प्रकृष्टपापनाशाय प्रकृष्टफलसिद्धये प्रदक्षिणं करोमि त्वा प्रसीद पुरुषोत्तम अन्यथा शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष जगदीश्वर अनन्तकोटि प्रदक्षिण नमस्काराञ्जलिं समर्पयामि छत्रचामरं समर्पयामि हरिः ओम् अग्निमीले पुरोहितं यज्ञस्य देवमृद्विजो ओदारौ रत्नदातमो हरिः ओम् इडेत्तोर्जेत्वा वाजवस्तो वाजवस्तदेवो वस्सविदात् प्रार्पयतु श्रेष्ठतमाय कर्मणे हरिः ओम् अग्नाजाहि वीतये गृणानो व्यदादये निगोदासत्य मरिषि हरिः ओम् सन्नो देवीरविष्टयावो भवन्तु भीतये सय्योरविश्रवन्दुनः हरिः ओम् सन्नो मित्रः संवरुणः सन्नो भवत्वर्यमा सन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः सन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि कृतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवदु तद्भक्तारमवदु अवदु माम् अवदु भक्तारो ॐ शान्तिः आद्यं पुरुषमीशानं पुरुहूतं पुरस्कृतो परमेकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्यक्ताव्यक्तगो सनातनो स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः सुममस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वस्याब्धे सर्वस्य जुब्धे सर्वमेव धेनाप्नोति सर्वं जयति प्रत्यक्षदेवं दर्शयामि गोविन्दनाम संकीर्तनो गोविन्द गोविन्द ॐ नमो नारायणाय 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 समर्प्य प्रार्थ्य
Devotees, it is now time to hear the Šri Satyanārāyana Katha. We will begin with chapter 1. Once upon a time, the great Shaunak Muni and 88,000 other rishis assembled in the forest called Naimisharanya. Maharishi Suta, who was well versed in narrating the Puranas, was also present at that time. Shaunak Muni asked Maharishi Suta, "O Maharishi, please tell us about a way by which mankind can attain salvation." Maharishi Suta answered, "Even the great sage Narada asked Lord Mahavishnu the very same question." Listen very carefully as I am going to tell you what Lord Mahavishnu himself told to Narada Muni. During his travels to the various worlds, sage Narada came to visit the earth. In the earth, he saw people suffering in their life due to their past karmas. Narada Muni was thus moved by witnessing such suffering and thought of Lord Narayana, who is ever so kind and full of love for his devotees. So sage Narada traveled to Vaikunta, the abode of Lord Narayana. There he saw the beautiful sight of Lord Vishnu adorned with his conch, discus, mace, and lotus in his four hands, and with a garland around his neck. And Narada spoke humbly, O Supreme Lord, the Savior of the destitute and the troubled, I surrender at thy feet. Lord Vishnu asked, Dear Narada, why you have come here? Tell me what is troubling you and what you want, and I will fulfill all your wishes. Narada responded by saying, O Bhagavan, people on the earth are suffering in many ways as a result of their own past sinful deeds. Please bestow thy grace and tell me how they can be of help and how to end their suffering. Lord Narayana spoke to Narada as follows. Narada, because of your kindness and your wish to help mankind, you have asked me these questions, and because of my kinship with you, I will give you the answer. Mankind can get rid of all its sufferings by observing the Satyanarayana Vrata. This Vrata, when performed according to the religious rites, will bring happiness, peace of mind, prosperity in this life, and moksha beyond. On hearing these words, Narada was filled with joy and said, O Lord, in your infinite grace, please tell me the details involved in observing this Vrata and the fruits and positive effects of such observances. Lord Narayana replied, On a full moon day, one must gather one's friends and relatives, perform the puja in the evening with devotion, and offer materials like fruits, ghee, milk, curd, butter, wheat flour, sugar, and honey to the Lord. After the puja is finished, the story of Lord Satyanarayana must be read to one and all present for the puja. After reading the story, prasada must be distributed to one and all. The assembled Brahmins must also be fed and gift must be given to them. If the puja is thus performed, it will bring fulfillment of one's wishes. Particularly in this Kali Yuga, this will bring contentment to the devotees observing this puja. With this, we end the first chapter of Satyanarayana Katha in the Reva Kanta of Skanda Purana. Bholo Šri Satyanarayana Bhagavan ki jai. Narayanaya Vitmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi. Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Bholo Šri Satyanarayana Bhagavan ki jai. Now let us hear the chapter 2. Maharishi Suta continued his narration. O learned rishis, let me tell you stories about devotees who performed this puja in the past and achieved greatness. Once there lived a poor Brahmin in the city of Kashi, plagued by his hunger. He used to wander around every day. Lord Vishnu, who is all kindness, appeared before this poor Brahmin in the form of an old man and asked, Why are you wandering around aimlessly? The poor Brahmin replied, Sir, I am very poor Brahmin, unable to bear the pangs of hunger. I wander around begging for alms. If you know a way to help me out of my misery, pray, tell me please. Whereupon Lord Vishnu, who was in the guise of an old man, said, O Brahmin, Lord Satyanarayana bestows his grace on his devotees and removes their sorrows. So you should also observe this vrata and reap its benefit. Lord Vishnu then explained the details of the puja to the poor Brahmin and disappeared. The poor Brahmin immediately resolved to perform the Satyanarayana Puja. After a sleepless night, he got up early in the morning and went to beg for alms. His mind was fully fixed on the puja. That day he got a lot of money with which he bought the necessary material as prescribed to him by the Lord himself and performed the puja with his friends and relatives. With the grace of Lord Satyanarayana, he was able to come out of his poverty and led a contented life. He continued performing this puja every month and finally attained moksha. The assembled rishis who were listening to the Maharishi then asked, O great one, please tell us in detail who else performed this puja. Maharishi Suta then continued his narration. One day when the poor Brahmin from Kashi was performing the Satyanarayana Puja, a woodcutter entered his house and asked for water. Seeing the puja being performed, the woodcutter inquired about the puja and its purpose. The Brahmin from Kashi, who is now prosperous due to Lord Satyanarayana's grace, spoke as follows. This is called the Satyanarayana Puja. Anyone who performs this puja will get riches. I myself has been bestowed with wealth. The woodcutter was delighted to hear about this puja. He learned the proper way to perform the puja, took the prasad, and went on his way. With Lord Satyanarayana in his thought, he resolved in his mind that he will perform the puja with whatever money that he made that day. He went to the area in the city where rich people lived and sold the wood for a good profit. With that money, he bought all the dravyas, including ghee, sugar, honey, butter, curd, milk, flour, and fruits, and performed the puja properly and with devotion, along with his friends and relatives. By Lord Satyanarayana's grace, he too acquired enormous wealth and lived comfortably and attained moksha. With this, we end the chapter 2 of Satyanarayana Katha in the Revakanta of Skanda Purana. Bolo Sri Satyanarayana Bhagavani ki jai. नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् बोलो श्री सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय. Now let us hear the third chapter. Maharishi Suta continued, O best of ascetic, I will tell you yet another story. Long time ago, there lived a wise king called Alkamukha. He had mastered all his senses and always spoke the truth. He went to the temple every day and gave gift to the learned Brahmins. His lotus-faced wife was pure and pious woman. One day, the royal couple was performing the Satyanarayana Pooja on the bank of river Bhadrashila. At that time, a merchant called Sadu sailed by on a boat full of merchandise. Seeing the king performing the puja, Sadhu stopped the boat, got off, and addressed the king humbly. O king, would you kindly tell me what you are doing with such devotion and concentration? The king replied, O Sadhu, I have no children. In order that I may be blessed with children, I am worshipping the Almighty Lord Satyanarayana. On hearing this, Sadhu said to the king softly and with respect, O king, kindly let me know how to perform the puja. I would also like to observe this vrata as I too have no children. The king proceeded to give Sadhu the merchant all the details about performing the puja. With that, Sadhu returned home happily and told his wife about his encounter with the king and informed her that he has resolved to perform the Satyanarayana Puja after a child is born. With the grace of divinity, Sadhu's wife Leelavati conceived a child, and in due course a beautiful daughter was born to Sadhu and his wife. They named their daughter as Kalavati. Sadhu did not perform the puja after the daughter's birth, and Leelavati also dutifully reminded him about his promise to perform the puja. Sadhu said he will perform the puja once his daughter grew and got married. Sadhu then put the whole matter out of his mind and carried on with his work and his daily life. In the meantime, Kalavati grew up and blossomed into a lovely girl. Sadhu sent out word to find a suitable groom for his daughter. One of his messengers found a young and handsome boy from a Vaishya family from the Kanchana Nagar. Sadhu found the boy to be a suitable match for his beautiful daughter Kalavati. He celebrated his daughter's wedding with great pomp and show. But unfortunately, Sadhu completely forgot about his promise to perform the Satyanarayana Puja, for which he was soon to learn a big lesson about the importance of keeping serious promises, especially ones that are related to the kind and all-knowing Lord Satyanarayana. One day, Sadhu set out on a business trip with his son-in-law. He stopped to trade in the city of Ratnapura, which was ruled by King Chandraketu. Then events started to unfold as per the will of Lord Satyanarayana. Some thieves robbed King Chandraketu's treasury and were running away. The king's soldier gave them hot pursuit. The frightened thieves threw everything they had stolen from the palace in Sadhu and his son-in-law's boat. The king's soldier found the stolen goods in the Sadhu's and his son-in-law's boat and hence arrested them, brought them before the king. Lord Satyanarayana's Maya was in full force by now. Without proper questioning, the king ordered that Sadhu and his son-in-law be chained and thrown into prison. Again, because of Maya of the Lord, none paid attention to what Sadhu has to say in his own defense. King Chandraketu's soldiers had also confiscated all the merchandise of Sadhu and his son-in-law. In the meantime, some robbers broke into Sadhu's house at his native place and stole all the valuables. Sadhu's family therefore lost all their possessions. One day, due to extreme hunger, Kalavati left the house and wandered around looking for food. She arrived at a house of house where Satyanarayana Pooja was being performed. When the puja was finished, she gladly accepted and took the prasad, and then which was handed over to her. Leelavati asked her daughter where she had been, and Kalavati narrated her experience about Satyanarayana Pooja in some neighbor's house. Leelavati remembered her promise about performing the puja. She resolved herself to observe the vrata. She assembled her relatives and friends and performed the puja and prayed that he, Lord, forgive all the sins committed by herself and her family. The magnanimous Lord was pleased with Leelavati's prayer. So the Lord appeared in King Chandraketu's dream and ordered him to release Sadu and his son-in-law as they were really innocent. Lord Satyanarayana also warned King that he must follow the orders, else he will face terrible consequences and risk losing his kingdom and his family. Next morning, King Chandraketu informed his counselors about his dream and ordered that two merchants be freed. Sadu and his son-in-law stood before the king in fright, whereas the king asked for their forgiveness and for their mistake and gave them the large gift and also returned their merchandise, which his soldiers confiscated from them. The king then bade farewell to the Sadhu and his son-in-law. With this, we end the chapter 3 of Satyanarayana Katha in the Revakanta of Skanda Purana. Polo Sri Satyanarayana Bhagavan ki jai. Narayanaya Vitmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Bolo Sri Satyanarayana Bhagavan ki jai. Now it's time to hear the chapter 4. Sadhu and his son-in-law now loaded their boat with the riches given to them by the king and sailed homeward. Sadhu's earnest with respect to devotion to the Lord in the past is still questionable and also subject to testing by the Lord if he so decide. Lord Satyanarayana appeared before Sadhu in the form of an ascetic and asked him what he was carrying in his boat. Without realizing that the ascetic was indeed Lord Satyanarayana himself, Sadhu mockingly said, "You ascetic, were you thinking of stealing my materials from my boat? We do not have any valuables in the boat anyway. All we have are some leaves and creepers." Then the ascetic told to Sadhu, "So be it," and departed in great haste and stood by the shore. When Sadhu went back to the boat, he discovered to his horror that the boat was filled with really leaves and creeps, as he had falsely told to ascetic. Sadhu fainted upon seeing this sight, but he was revived by his son-in-law, who thoughtfully said, "This must be the curse of the ascetic. He must be a mystic. Let us go and ask for his forgiveness." The two merchants went to the seashore where the ascetic was meditating. They fell at his feet and repeatedly begged for their forgiveness. Pleased by Sadhu's action, the kind and magnanimous Lord Satyanarayana said, "Sadhu, do not weep. You suffered because you broke your promises again and again." On hearing this, Sadhu again prayed to Lord Satyanarayana, saying, "O Lord, even Brahma and other devas cannot comprehend your form completely. How can I, with my limited knowledge, comprehend your various forms? I pray to you according to my limited knowledge. Please show me your true form and bless me." Upon hearing his prayer, the Lord was pleased and granted his wishes and restored all the merchandise in Sadhu's boat and disappeared. The two merchants then joyfully sailed homeward. On reaching their hometown, they sent a messenger to their respective wives so as to inform them about their safe arrival. At that time, Leelavati and Kalavati were in the middle of performing the Satyanarayana Pooja. Leelavati finished the puja properly and asked Kalavati to do so as well. Leelavati then hurried to the shore to meet her husband, whereas in her eagerness, Kalavati rushed through the puja and ran to meet her husband without even taking the prasad. This action of Kalavati was clearly an indicator of her lack of sincerity in her puja, which to her was a lower priority when compared to meeting her husband. Kalavati learned her lesson quickly. Without any reason, due to Lord's Maya, Kalavati saw the boat had capsized and her husband getting drowned. Kalavati started weeping with great sorrow at the turn of event. Sadhu was at a loss to know what to do, but still wanted to help his daughter Kalavati. He announced that he will be performing the Satyanarayana Pooja and prayed to Lord Satyanarayana again and again. At this juncture, Lord Satyanarayana, who is the savior of sinners, was very pleased and his voice was heard to say, O Sadhu, your daughter did not took the prasad and thus did not finish the puja properly in her haste to see her husband. Let her go home, take the prasad and return. With full faith in the Lord, Kalavati, who was remorseful by this time, rushed home, took the prasad and ate it with great devotion. When she returned to the seashore, she found her husband back in the boat. Then Sadhu returned home happily with his wife, daughter, and son in law. Since then, Sadhu never failed to perform the Satyanarayana Puja every full moon day. With the Lord's grace, he also enjoyed all the comforts in this world and finally attained the moksha. With this, we end the fourth chapter of Satyanarayana Katha in the Revakanta of Skanda Purana. Bholo Sri Satyanarayana Bhagavan ki jai. नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् बोलो श्री सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय. Now let us hear the last chapter 5. Maharishi Suta continued. Once there was a king called Tunga, who underwent a lot of misery after refusing the prasad from the Satyanarayana Puja. One day after hunting, he was sitting under a shady tree. Some cowards were performing the Satyanarayana Puja nearby. The king, in his vanity, refused the prasad they offered. When he reached his palace, he found that his kingdom, his 100 sons, his wealth, and everything got destroyed. Then it occurred to him, maybe that Lord Satyanarayana was probably displeased with him. Hence he went back to the cowards, prostrated himself before the Lord Satyanarayana's altar, and performed the puja with great devotion. Lord Satyanarayana showed his blessing, and the king regained everything he had lost earlier. With this, he lived happily and reached the Vaikuntha after his demise. Maharishi Suta said, O holy men, I have narrated to you the Satyanarayana Katha, which was originally told by Lord Vishnu to sage Narada. By observing this vrata, mankind can attain salvation. In this Kali Yuga, observance of vrata can lead to gratification of one's wishes. Maharishi Suta concluded his narration by telling the assembled rishis what kind of blessings were given by the Lord to the people in the above stories. The poor Brahmin of Kashi was reborn as Sudama, the friend of Lord Krishna, who was blessed by Lord Krishna with prosperity and moksha. The woodcutter was reborn as Guha, who devotedly served Lord Rama and attained moksha. King Alkamukha was born as a Dasharatha, the father of Lord Rama himself. Sadu was reborn as King Mayuradhwaja, who won the test Lord Krishna administered to him by offering his body to be cut into two halves and offered for charity. King Tunga was reborn as Manu, the writer of laws, who gave to mankind the code of conduct for righteousness. With this, we ended the fifth chapter of the narration of Maharishi Suta, after which Saunak and other rishis returned to their respective places. Bolo Sri Satyanarayana Bhagavan ki jai. नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात्. भोलो श्री सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय.
नमस्ते सत्यदेवेश नमस्ते करुणाकर नमस्ते सत्यभागीश नमस्ते सत्यसुप्रभो सत्यनारायणं देवं वन्देहं कामदं विभो लीलजा विततं विश्वो येन तस्मै नमो नमः. रमादेवी समेत श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः. प्रार्थना नमस्कारान् समर्पयामि. ॐ विष्णोर्नुगं वीर्याणि प्रभोजं यः पार्थिवानि विममे रजागुंसिजो अस्कभाजदुत्तरगं सदस्तं विजक्रमाण त्रेदोरुगायो विष्णोरराडमसि विष्णो पृष्ठमसि विष्णो स्नप्त्रेस्तो विष्णोस्यूरसि विष्णोर्ध्रुवमसि वैष्णवमसि विष्णवे त्वा नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात्। रमादेवी अंबिका समेत वीरवेंकट सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः। पंचमुखदीपं दर्शयामि। जय।
Devotees, an important announcement. Today, there is going to be a lunar eclipse post midnight. So please come near the altar, have the Tirtham blessing, and then have the Harti and have the Prasadam also. So it is said